I'm a scientist and an engineer and I suppose a performer and I think many, many, many things. But the first thing I would say is that I'm curious. And I think everybody in this room is curious. And Carl Sagan, who was a big influence in my life growing up, we all used to watch his program Cosmos on TV. He said, every child starts out as a born scientist, and then they get it beaten out of them. And a few of them trickle through the system, keeping their wonder and their enthusiasm. I think I am one of the fortunate ones that managed to hold on to my wonder and my enthusiasm, because I'm curious about everything. And I'd like to share with you tonight some of the things that I'm currently sort of curious about. And the main rite of passage for that is that we're always trying to figure out our place in the world, and because of the way my brain works, I've always gone back to science, and I think, you know, it kind of offers me answers which I hope might help you in figuring out where you're supposed to go in life. So, I'm in this room right now, and I'm looking at lights, I'm looking at paintings, and I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at the floor, and I could be counting the tiles, I could be counting the lights, and I'm always trying to find connections between me and the objects in this room. And not only that, our planet, our universe, me and the planet, me and the universe, our Earth orbits around our sun. And then I hear facts like our sun, our solar system, we orbit around our sun, and our sun is one of millions and millions of other suns. And in fact, there are as many stars in our universe as there are the number of grains of sand on all the beaches on our planet. And when I hear things like that, I go, wow, so then Earth is orbiting around a grain of sand. How small do I feel right now? I feel very small, very insignificant, and very humble. But then I kind of go, well, hang on a second. Everything in our universe is made up of matter. So there is a connection between me and the sun, and the Big Bang, and the universe, and the planets, and Earth, and the ground beneath my feet. Because all matter is made up of atoms. Millions and millions and millions and billions of atoms. You draw a dot from a pencil, there's 25 million atoms in that dot. And everything you see in this room is composed of atoms. The floor, the ceiling, the walls, everything. And so I started a journey of investigation. I'm not a physicist. I don't claim to be, but one thing I am is curious, and I have no problems picking up a book and trying to figure something out and asking stupid questions and getting answers. So I was very lucky that I got a chance to go to CERN when I was making a show for the Fringe some years ago. And I had read up on particle physics, and I got a chance to ask particle physicists some of the questions. So here's the deal. We're all made up of atoms, and that connects us all with the universe. What's in those atoms? Well, in the 1920s, they smashed open an atom, and in that there was a proton in the nucleus and a neutron, and then there was an electron that spins around that nucleus. And in terms of size, if we took that nucleus as a grain of sand and put it right bang in the middle of St. Stephen's Green, one of those electrons would be running around the perimeter of St. Stephen's Green, orbiting it. And guess what's in the middle? Nothing. Empty space. 99.99999% empty space, which means we're made nothing. Empty space. So is that floor, so is that light, so is our planet. It's an illusion. My hand isn't solid. It's made up of 99.99% empty space. So at a certain level of magnification, I could completely walk through it. I'm not standing on this floor, I'm levitating. There are atoms, millions and millions of atoms remaining on the floor. And those electrons, we have them in our bodies. We're constantly exchanging electrons with everything all the time. As I'm standing here, the electrons on my feet are swapping with the electrons on the floor. We leave an imprint of ourselves everywhere we go. It's like our own little personal journey. And everybody you shake hands with, you embrace, you hold, every object you pick up, every bus you get, you leave a little memory of yourself behind. And guess what? They give you a little part of themselves as well. So we're in the sea of electrons. But that's not all. Because the people at CERN, that amazing research centre where they're cracking open these protons and trying to find what's inside them, they continue this research and they want to know, how did we get here? What are all the mysteries of the universe? Is there something that connects us on a mathematical level with everything? And that's what they're trying to crack. And where they're at the moment, they found that those protons and those electrons, they're made of even smaller parts. And it's all summarised in an equation which they call the Standard Model. And there was one little piece left that was missing, which was this Higgs field that gives mass to matter. What that basically means is it's why I'm staying together as a solid, even though I may be 99.99% empty space. It puts mass together, it keeps it in groups, and they're nearly there. So now they're trying to figure out, well, is there something that can connect these small particles to these massive galaxies? Because when Einstein came along, he was able to describe the behaviour of universes and space-time and all that kind of stuff, but it didn't make sense on that really small level of atoms. And then the guys working on the Standard Model, that math doesn't make sense for the big galaxies. So now they're trying to figure out one clear, simple principle that could describe everything. And there's two schools of thought, and already there's thousands and thousands and thousands of papers written about both of these schools of thought, although they still haven't found a way of actually measuring them yet. They haven't got equipment powerful enough, but they still believe in these principles. One is called supersymmetry, which says that for every proton and neutron, there's an opposite particle. And that kind of explains this dark matter that we've been hearing about. And the second one, which is the one I kind of want to talk to you about today, is a principle called string theory. Now, string theory says, what if those atoms, those electrons, those protons, and all the particles that make them up, what if they're made of one thing that we can link that to the edges of the universe with? And they've come up with this theory, this principle, that maybe they're composed of vibrating streams of energy that exist on the 10th dimension. And those are so small, those strings are so small, if we enlarged one atom to the size of our solar system, one string would only be as large as a tree on our planet. So that's saying, right now, that floor, that light, that painting, me, you, all of us in this room, all the atoms that make up who we all are, could be composed of these vibrating strings of energy, but it also says that we could be existing on the 10th dimension. Yeah. Yeah. So now, the third dimension is kind of where we live. Third dimensional objects, we see in 3D, which is height, width, and depth. We have dimensions that way. And we kind of have an awareness of the fourth dimension. We kind of know its duration or time. But what would we look like in the fourth dimension? Because they say we do exist in the fourth dimension. Well, we would be like a big, long snake, which would encapsulate every moment of our life, from the moment of birth to the moment of death, and we walk the road that way. So the fifth dimension is the dimension of probabilities, and you see this in nature all the way. Look out at those trees and all the branches and all the leaves. The fifth dimension encapsulates every probable choice and decision that we may make in our lives. So we're there as our undulating snakes, and we're going forward, and we go, I wonder if, and suddenly that snake takes another path. And then when we're on that path, it makes another choice, we go on another path. Very much like a tree structure, which is also very much representative of our vein structure in our bodies, of our lungs. This structure is very present in nature. And on, as we go up into higher dimensions, we start to encapsulate every probable possible outcome of our lives, of our universes, endings of our universes. So there we are existing on the 10th dimension. And what that says to me is, okay, I might be a small speck of dust on a grain of sand rotating around a solar system of a planet full of sand, full of other stars. But when I look at myself on that level and I think to myself, wow, every possible choice is waiting for me there. There's nothing stopping me fulfilling any of those choices, just me and my thoughts. So we are not that insignificant, and we are not that, we are actually able to do whatever it is we want to do. And I've one final thing I'd like to talk to you about, is the Voyager 1 is a space probe that only last week it was announced that it is now in deep space. And that set out on its journey in 1977 with one specific task, and that was to explore the Saturn and Jupiter. And it took pictures from that. And Carl Sagan, again, requested in 1990 when it came to the edges of the solar system to turn the probe around and to look back and see the size of Earth in comparison to the rest of those planets. And they did, and they said, but you won't be able to see anything, Carl. It didn't matter. It was a tiny speck of dust. So imagine if you've got this vista of me, and I don't know, say I'm Jupiter, so I don't know. That black dot on the wall is probably Earth. And this is what he said, a very wise man. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you've ever heard of, every human being who ever lived out their lives. The aggregate of all our joys and sufferings, thousands of confident religions, ideologies and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every hopeful child, every mother and father, every inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lives there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. It's up to us. To my mind, there is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly and compassionately with one another and to preserve and cherish that pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. Thanks very much.